Hi, and thank you to all of you who watched my humidor tour a while back. As promised, today I will be showing you my mostly Cuban humidor. And this is my personal collection. I mean, these are the cigars that I smoke for me on my time, not really for reviews. So it's actually dwindled a little bit because Thanksgiving just passed and I had family visiting, hence the lock on my humidor. So I'm gonna show you this. A lot of the Cuban cigars in here are from trips to Cuba that I've taken, as well as some trips to Canada, because as you know, there's an extensive collection of Cuban cigars in a lot of the Canadian humidors. And so there's a mixture from both, as well as some that have been gifts. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at my humidor. Now, as for the make and model, it's nothing special. It holds about 125 to 150 cigars. And the nice thing is that it has a pretty tight seal to it, which sadly I found that that's kind of a less than common occurrence with many humidors, which is why I usually tell people that the actual humidor itself isn't that important, but the storage and humidity is crucial. With any collection of cigars, it's imperative to have proper humidification. For my humidor, I use Boveda. I absolutely love this 320 gram pack. I discovered these not too long ago, but they're great. It's very easy to use it, but what I really love is that it provides the perfect relative humidity for humidors holding anywhere from 25 to 150 cigars. But if you have a larger count humidor, you can always toss a few extras of these and that'll do the trick. What's great is the setup is simple and the outcome is effective and easy to maintain. The great thing is the more of these packs you have in your humidor, the longer they actually last. And the nice thing with the Boveda packs is that since the humidity level is designed to cap at the number on the front of the pack, then you can have as many of them as you want. And like I said, it'll just make them last longer. And it actually just provides like the perfect humidity level. So I'm a huge fan of the Bovedas. The biggest thing you want to remember is you just don't want to mix your RH levels. So if you have a 69, for example, you want to have 69 throughout your humidor or 72, etc., etc. So just make sure that those numbers match up. But that's how I like to keep my cigars stored. And again, it just makes it super easy and very simple and effective. Okay, so getting right into it, starting with my top tray left to right. As I mentioned, I was kind of smoking these through week of Thanksgiving and I had some family in town. So I've tried to replenish a little bit because there's a few that are missing. But this one I kept in here just to show that I actually got this in Cuba at I think it was the Trinidad factory. I bought it like at their gift shop, but it's not real. It's real in the sense that the tobacco in here is Cuban, but this isn't actually a Cohiba. The band itself was probably just on here, but I learned that the hard way because it was a 3-pack that I bought, and this is the last one, but I kept it just to kind of talk about it. You could tell, I mean, the draw is terrible. The taste is not that of a Cohiba. It's just kind of, it must be just remnants or something else that's a lesser grade that they were just trying to sell. So I always recommend that if you are in Cuba, make sure you buy your Cubans at a Habano store. And I'll show you some of those a little bit later. This one is a Sancho Panza. This is just a little special, not a super strong stick. I think this is one of the last ones that I have. This little punch, and technically I have a couple of tubes in here, which they don't really need to be in the tubes. I leave them in there because I usually, as I mentioned, this is my smoking humidor, so I'll just reach in and grab them and go. But this is kind of fun. This is just a little little punch in here, and it just is good for on the go. Then I have about 5 of these little Romeo and Julietas. These are again just simple little sticks, nothing crazy. It's funny though, because this is actually from the same 5-pack, but you could see the color variance on the outer wrapper. Like these 3 are darker and significantly darker than these 2 here. And they're all from the same box, basically. So it was a little 5-pack that I bought at the Habano store. But it's kind of funny. They don't have that same quality control inspection as far as like the colors of the box to be uniform. But still a good smoke. This one I love. This is the Serie D number 4, little Partagas. And this one, this might actually be one of my last in this size. I know I shared these with my brother who was in town. He likes to smoke those. And then these are just some little loose, super quick, kind of fun little smokes. These are Romeo and Julietas too. They come in like those little cigarrillo packs. I have a lot of people that comment and ask if I smoke the cigarrillos. This would be like the only time. And again, I still smoke them as a cigar. It's just rolled up tobacco. It's not like a cigarette, but they're kind of fun. They're just, again, for like a super quick type of little smoke. They're a good flavor. This is another one, as I mentioned. I have it in the tube just because I usually will grab some of these and just head out. But this is the Hoyo De Monterrey Epicure Especial. I actually did a review on this one on my channel. This one is probably one of my favorite Cuban cigars, the Bolivar. This is the beautiful Belicoso. It's a great stick. It actually, to me, it's one of like the fullest flavor and strength out of the Cuban cigars. I've always liked this cigar. It's really tasty. And I'm actually getting down to, I don't know, hopefully I think I have a few more of these, but these I smoke pretty often. And then we have the Montecristo. Most of you know this one, Montecristo Havana. And then this one was really cool. This was actually a gift from somebody that I met at a cigar lounge in Fullerton during an event. His name was David. He has an amazing collection. He's one of those that only smokes Cuban cigars, which I tried to give him. We actually did a couple trades and we tried to get him to smoke like a Padron. And sadly, he left like half of it in his ashtray, which was not cool, but you know, everybody has their own palate. But anyways, he gave me this cigar, and this actually came out of this beautiful humidor with a whole lock and key setup. And this is I think it was the 25th anniversary, and this was at the Casa de Habano. They had this whole thing that they did with these cigars. So beautiful, and he was kind enough to share one of these with me, the Gloria Cubana. But really nice setup, really nice presentation with the humidor. And we have a Cohiba, of course. I have a lot of the Cohibas. That's just kind of like for me, it's like a go-to Cuban. It's pretty much that really easy smoke any time of the day. I was smoking one when I started the video. This is another one that was gifted to me. This is a Hoyo De Monterrey. This is the Epicure Deluxe. And this is another one that's from the Casa de Habano. They do their little collections that they put out. So that was a nice one. And then we have another Romeo and Julieta. You could tell I smoke these fairly often. When I was in Cuba, I bought a ton of them because they're good gifts and they're good for just, again, easy, very light smoke, whether in the morning or just throughout the afternoon, super easy to smoke. And then I have another Partagas here. I have the little number 2. This one was a gift from somebody, and it's been in here. I need to smoke it, actually. This is a Byron 3-year Reserva. I'll have to get to that one. And then we have the Cohiba Edición Limitada. This is from 2011. And these were gifted, I believe, but this is actually to commemorate the 45th anniversary of Cohiba, of course, the flagship brand of the Habanos. And they have a unique format specially selected for this occasion. These were 10 Habanos that they made totally by hand, of course. The selection of the leaves were from the plantations of San Juan y Martinez. This is, of course, in the very infamous Vuelta Abajo region of Cuba. And I had a chance to visit that region when I was in Cuba on my last trip. It was really neat to see the red soil. It's really like you hear about it, but to actually touch it and feel it firsthand was really something special. And of course, the area that we were in Pinar del Rio, there was a really neat kind of a farm restaurant that they grew and raised all their own food. And that was like the best food that we had the whole trip in Cuba. It was really, really amazing. Let's see. These 2 cigars are from my trip to Canada. This was one that, again, going into a Canadian humidor, for me, it was the first time going into a Canadian humidor that, one, you can't smoke inside the lounge itself, but they have an incredible collection of Cuban cigars. This was one that was an exclusive, to Canada. And this punch is something really special. This was a gift from Evan. He's the owner of the lounge there that I visited in Niagara Falls, and he gave me this. He gave me a couple of them, actually. These are like 20 years old, and I've been kind of just waiting. I don't know when I'll smoke this one because it's a 20-year-old punch Habano that's been in his humidor that he was kind enough to gift to me from his own collection. It was really nice. These are not Cubans, but technically the origin is Cuban because, you know, these are Fuente. This is a Fuente Don Carlos. This is the 2013. This reminds me of being on the beach in the Dominican Republic and smoking during Pro Cigar. I smoked quite a few of these on that trip, especially sitting beachside. It was like the perfect setting to enjoy one of these cigars, which not considered a Cuban cigar, but the people who make it are originally from Cuba, so I guess it kind of counts. Same with this one. This is a Micallef Reserva. The Gomez Sanchez family is also originated in Cuba. Now they're out of Nicaragua, but this is just a beautiful stick. So I hid a couple of these in here, again under lock and key. And that takes us to the bottom tray, which again, I have another little Boveda pack down here. As I mentioned, you can't over humidify your humidor with these as long as the numbers match up. So you want to make sure that you, in this case, I have a 69% one. Because this humidor, as I mentioned, has a super tight seal, I don't find that it leaks, but in a lot of cases, you'll find that the humidor that you might be using is leaky. And so that's when there's different levels. I think the most common one I see is like the 72%. And that's, again, if you have it in a leaky humidor and you have the 72%, it's probably going to bring it down to about a 69 or so, somewhere in that range. And again, the more you have, the better. I mean, that just makes them last longer because they basically cap off at that number, and then they just keep working for you. But let's go. We have, let's see, this side. I have a ton of the Cohibas, as I mentioned. These are all the same. I brought back a lot of these on my second to last trip to Cuba. These are just the good old Cohiba flagship. These are probably like the #1 counterfeited cigar in the world. I mean, it's sad. I see so many. In fact, I'm gifted, a few of the fake Cohibas that I don't have the heart to tell the person that's giving it to me that it's not real. But yeah, it's very, very much counterfeited. In fact, when I was in Ensenada, that's probably one of the biggest places that I see that has a lot of walk-in lounges, and the majority that I've found personally are fake out of the Cubans that they have. But anyway, that's basically this whole entire row, and this too. These are all Cohibas. So let me get underneath here. Then, as I mentioned, it's my mostly Cuban humidor, but there are some non-Cubans in here. So let's see. So, of course, I have my Love Padron. These are the special ones that I keep, again, really for myself. I mean, once in a while I'll share them, I guess, if there's somebody really special. But this is all the anniversary series. So this is the 1964, the 85-year Maduro. It's such a good stick. And then these two are the 50. These aren't the ones that came in the numbered humidors. This is just like part of the 50-year that you could buy individually. So these are both Maduros. And then I have 3 of these 64. These are the 45-year. I think one of these was actually given to me by Jeff Padron one time. He was nice enough to share. And then I have a 1926, this is part of the 40-year. And then these bad boys are, I thought I had 2 actually. I must have smoked one already. This is the Padron. This is the 50-year that came, these are numbered, and these are out of those special humidors that you had to get like the whole humidor, and it came like half Maduro, half natural. This one I actually got from my friend at Truly Cigars in Alabama. It's a beautiful lounge. I've done a couple visits out there. So he had these, and I picked up a handful of them. As again, he was amazing and shared them, and he has great prices too, which also you can call over the phone, Truly Cigars, and he'll do phone orders. So it's a cool lounge. And if you get a chance, if you're in the Muscle Shoals area of Alabama, he has a beautiful humidor. And then I have just a regular 1926 in here. It's kind of like a big boy, but this is a natural. And then, let's see here. More Cohibas, as I mentioned. And then underneath the Cohibas, I have a few of the 20th anniversary Opus, the blue label Opus, which I liked these, but they weren't like as amazing as I was anticipating them to be. They're still good. They just weren't like, they didn't wow me, but I still keep them on hand. I actually have these aging in here. In fact, I need to take them out of the cellophane. I just put these in here not too long ago. But they're the only cigars I think I have in cellophane in this whole entire humidor. So, moving over here, we have, actually let's start on this side. This is another, it's a non-Cuban, but it's such a good cigar. And this is, I think, one of two that I have left. This is the Drew Estate A, and it's a beautiful, beautiful stick. It's like a promotional cigar. They only give them out during, I don't even know if they still do. I got this one several years ago. This used to be, I'm not sure if it still is, a cigar that they only give for promotional, like when you're at an event and you buy a special box, they'll give you one of these and it comes in its own box. But it's basically the T52 blend on the inside. It has the stock cut, sun-grown, cured Habano wrapper, and then it has a Brazilian Matafina on the binder, and then again that somewhat tweaked T52 blend on the inside. But it's just a beautiful cigar. I mean, look at the size of this thing. It's huge. It's pretty incredible. But a really good stick. Definitely a cigar you want to have a lot of time to sit and enjoy it. And it's not super strong, so it's not going to like blow you away or anything, but it just has incredible flavor. It's probably one of the best Drew Estate cigars I've smoked. Then we have the La Aurora. This is a Puro vintage. Again, non-Cuban, but this is coming out of the oldest factory in the Dominican Republic. This is a beautiful stick, and it's a limited edition, or it was at the time. I don't even think you can find these anymore. It was the vintage 2003. Came out in about, I think they only did a run of like 12,000 sticks or so. They were like 8-count boxes, and it had the same filler and binder as the original Cien Años blend, but this one has the Ecuadorian wrapper, which was harvested in 2003. So then they basically aged it in cedar for 5 years, and it's this beautiful 7.5 by 58 Salomon. So it's a really pretty stick. My only one I have left, actually. And then of course I snuck in this little L40 because again, now you can find these. In fact, I found these at a recent lounge. It used to be that these were super hard to find, but now apparently you can get these pretty readily available to you at most brick and mortars that carry Drew Estate. But this is like probably my favorite, or one of my favorite Lanceros. This is such a great stick. Snuck that in there. And this was the other, I already mentioned this punch in the top row. I didn't realize I had a second one down here, but this is one that again was gifted to me. It's been aged for 20 years. Punch is like one of the oldest Habano brands. It has a very distinct kind of medium flavor. Again, the blend is coming from the Puerto Bajo region, that beautiful red soil. And they have a variety of sizes, but just a nice smoke. And then this one too, this is another repeat of, I already mentioned it, it was in the top row. This is the Cohiba, the Edición Limitada from 2011. And then this one is the La Flor de Cano Havana. This is, the box itself has the labeling Siboney. I don't know how you pronounce that word, Siboney. And this one I actually picked up in Canada, again, at that Niagara Falls lounge when I went to that event. This is an exclusive Canadian blend, but the history behind this name is kind of cool because it's a very historic brand, and it goes back to like 1884. And the Siboney was the name of a tribe, I guess, that was the part of the indigenous people that lived in Cuba before Columbus landed there. And so they apparently gave him, tobacco and whatnot. So again, very historic type of ties to this one, but it's a fun little size to smoke. And again, if you've ever been to Canada, or if you're watching this and you live in Canada, it's cold there and it's tough to smoke. This one really caught my attention because of the size. It's perfect for that atmosphere there, because you really are like trying to find a place to smoke. Usually you have to sit outside somewhere because there's no lounges that you can smoke inside of. In fact, the event I went to, the cigars were sold on the inside, and then you could get alcohol, but you couldn't smoke in there, so you had to go outside. And for me, I'm used to San Diego weather, so I was freezing. I had a heavy coat, and I enjoyed smoking these smaller sizes like that. And then again, I do have another one, another little Bolivar. Again, one of my favorite Cubans. Just a fuller strength, nice flavor. And then we have the H. Upmann, which is the iconic, it's close to the JFK size, I guess, as I could find. I bought a few boxes of these when I was in Cuba on my second to last trip out there, but it really just reminds me of being on the beach in Cuba and smoking these. It's more of a sentimental type of a thing. This was just like the epitome of relaxation for me personally. I had quite a few of these, sat on the beach. It was warm. I mean, the water is like walking into a bathtub. It's beautiful and just a nice sun. But again, this one was probably made famous or more well known in the States here, this H. Upmann brand by JFK, because of course you guys know the story of him nesting up and ordering a bunch of them right before he signed the embargo with Cuba. So that was basically the story with that one there. And then we have this Montecristo Havana. This is the Open Master. This was part of the Montecristo Open line. There's 4 different sizes. There's an Eagle, Regatta, Master, and Junior. But this is the Robusto. And basically, again, claim to fame is that these leaves are coming from that beautiful Vuelta Abajo region for some great flavor. Just a nice smoke. Always a nice smoke with the Montecristo. It's tough to have a favorite. It's just that, I guess, when you're going to look for something, you go with what's familiar, which most cases it's the Cohiba. I have another different size Cohiba down here. But that's pretty much it. As I mentioned, oh, I actually have a box. Since I mentioned I need to replenish my Cuban stash because I smoked quite a bit of them over the Thanksgiving holiday. But I also wanted to show you guys, I mentioned that it's easy to find the counterfeits. The Cuban counterfeits are just all over the place. Even in Cuba, sadly, if you buy them off the street or from somebody, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, they're not real. So you want to look for something that's coming from the Habano store. This was actually bought in the lobby or in the Hotel Nacional at the Habano store. But I wanted to show you what it looks like. It has all the stickers that tell you that it's from the Republic of Cuba. It's all sealed, warranty and all that. And then it has this their emblem, the Habano store emblem, which has a lot of information. It's all sealed like that way. This tells you what's in the box. And then it has, of course, the stamp underneath here. It has everything. This also has the dates underneath that are stamped. But when you open it, it has the cedar in here, which you can break this up and use these to light up your cigars. It's great if you're on the go. Just provides really nice flavor. So this tells you, again, what it is. Flor de Tabacos de Partagas, Havana, Cuba, Serie D number 6. This also has the authenticity little sticker inside telling you all about the Habanos and that it's protected and everything about it, and that it's made in Cuba. And then you have your little protective sheet there. But these cigars are great. Again, I like this size. The Serie D is just it's a good stick, but this size in particular is great if you're on the go, if you are, for me, like vacationing, because when I go on those safaris, we have a group of people with us, so it depends on how long we might sit in one spot. So these are really cool because, again, if you're sitting there for just a little bit and you want to light something up, if you're outside having a mojito or whatnot, you want something a little bit smaller. So that's why I actually really like this size, and the flavor just delivers. It's a small enough cigar that you enjoy it in a timely manner, but then you also get a lot of nice flavor. So I'm actually going to add some of these back to my humidor, because I actually have a couple igloos. I've outgrown all of my humidors and I haven't gotten any new ones, but I have igloos or coolers that I keep full boxes in that I can't fit in my humidor, in my larger one. So, and in those, of course, I have the Boveda packs, which again, I mentioned, they're great. They're super easy. If you have a new humidor, you can actually get their little seasoning pack, which is fantastic. Again, it's super simple and really, really easy to use and set up. So I can't speak highly enough about the Boveda products, but again, these you throw them in there and you're basically good to go. Well, all that talking made my cigar, of course, go out, and I didn't want to blow smoke inside of my humidor anyways, but I thank you guys again for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed another tour of one of my humidors, this one again being the mostly Cuban stash that I have, and somewhat thin because I have been smoking them. Again, these are the cigars that I smoke on my me time, not for reviews, but thank you guys for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time. Cheers.